Hey, welcome back to another episode of Camp and Camera. Still working on the doors for the Camp Easy 5945 Teardrop. This is actually part 3 of the door build. The first part, we made the template for the doors. Last time we cut out the core, so if you haven't checked out those videos, you may want to go back and watch those. But today, we're going to start putting some plywood skin on the doors. We're gonna skin the doors. I'm not sure we'll do all this today, but we need to skin the doors, we need to insulate them, and then we need to put the trim and hardware on. So let's see how much of that we can get done today. Okay, I'm going to start out by putting down a piece of 1/4 inch birch, and I'm going to lay my door cores on top of it. Now I have these door cores opposing one another, kind of like a book match pair, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to be sure that I put this plywood skin on the outside of each door core. I don't want to build 2 left doors or 2 right doors. I just want to build one set of a left and right. It's not really important to me to use Baltic birch, but I happen to be able to pick this up at a really good price just from a local source. So I went ahead and used that. I could have used Luan or something else. So we'll get to cutting these out. I know this looks absolutely nuts, but I really want these doors to be flat. So I pretty much just grabbed anything heavy I had sitting around to put on top this assembly, and hopefully it'll keep it pretty flat. I walked around the perimeter and looked for any gaps, and it looks pretty good. So the only thing left to do now is just let this fella dry. And I hate to say it, but I think that means yard mowing time. Let's go mow the lawn. I ended up letting the glue dry overnight under the pressure of all that weight. Come back this morning and it looks really good. I checked the perimeter. Looks like it was a good glue bond and it dried pretty flat, so I'm happy with that. So anyway, this is a new day, dirty shirt day. My wife she's aggravated at me with all the shirts I've ruined out here with glue and caulk and whatnot. So that's just part of it. Anyway, I'm going to use a router with a flush trim bottom bearing bit. I'm going to trim off the excess plywood around the perimeter and around the window opening. And once that's done, we need to cut some insulation to put on the lightning holes. Now that we have the door cores, the sheeting on them trimmed out and sanded down, now I'm going to take this door template that I made in a previous video and I'm going to trace the outlines of these lightning holes onto this, I think it's like 5/8 inch thick foam, and cut those out, and then I'll put those into the door cores for insulation. So now we're pretty much just going to repeat what we did on the other side of the door core. We're going to cut out and rough cut out some Baltic birch, some thin, I think it's about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit like a heavy 1/8 of an inch. We're going to rough cut that out, glue it to the core, and then trim it again with a router. And again, I'm just going to use my door template to rough cut this out with. It's going to look like that I'm wasting quite a bit of plywood. This is actually some scrap birch that I picked up somewhere. There's a nice, fairly clear spot in the middle, and then there's some defects on either side. So I'm just going to cut one door out of this piece of plywood, lay another piece down, and cut a blank out of it. So it looks like I'm wasting a lot of wood, but this wood was scrap anyway. Okay, this is the sheet that I just cut, or the piece that just cut out, and here's my template. I'm going to cut out another sheet, and I know I've said this before, probably earlier in this video, certainly in other videos. Since I'm making two parts, I don't want those parts to be exactly alike. I don't want two left doors or two right doors. I need a left and a right. So I've laid out the piece that I just cut, and I've laid out my template for the next part, and I book match those where they're facing one another. This way I can be sure that I make make an individual left and an individual right. And with that, a whole bunch of crazy looking weights on top of it. The only thing left to do is let it dry. When the assembly is dried, I'll do what I did to the other side of the door core. I'll take a router, go around the edge just to flush it off, and then it'll be time to put some finish on the door. I'm going to put some polyurethane on the inside of the door to match up the interior walls of the cabin. And on the outside, I'll probably put a couple coats of the mix. I covered that in a previous video. Do that to prep it before I put the aluminum on. So I guess that's all for today. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that button. We'll see you next time.